All right. So next we're going to do a little bit of a share out opportunity. I'm hoping that a couple of our schools will share out the events that they have happening. I know that we are starting to get to a place where we are having in-person events at some of the schools again. We're having parents in for different things. I would love to hear a few share outs.
Okay, I'll share something. At Gage, we are working with John Marshall Art, and Julie's on here, I see, and then we have a few others. And we're trying to collaborate. Well, we are going to collaborate with their digital art class, and you may have heard of the Humans of New York and the Humans of John Marshall, and we are going to do that project, the Humans of Gage, and we're trying to figure out how we can do an in-person identity walk through our halls, and we'll see that form of art and then classroom identity projects. We've done that in the past, but we're hoping that we can have people in May do a Gage gallery walk. So that's in the works.
That sounds amazing. Thank you, Heidi. Couple more share outs.
At ALC, we're having continued success with our kind of Wednesday programming where students earn elective credit working with a variety of community partners. And we've been excited to continue to grow the partners that are working with our students. Chess Club has been coming on Wednesdays, Diversity Council, Boys and Girls Club, just a variety of elective opportunities for students to make connections and learn with the community in different ways. And like Maggie, we're going snow tubing next Thursday. So I'm ready for the snow to be gone, but I hope there's enough to tube on next Thursday.
And do you guys go to Iron Mountain or Iron Springs?
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
Oh, that terrifies me. I'm terrified of that hill. I don't want to tube down anything I can't see the other side of. Okay, Carrie put in the notes, conducted the lottery for PTAC for next cohort. Yay! Congratulations. That's super exciting. Carrie, do you want to come off mute and just tell us a little bit about the 2 full cohorts you will have running?
Sure. So the lottery for PTAC, so we have only 60 spots available, 30 in the nursing and 30 in the IT pathway. So we conduct a lottery for the students who've applied. So this year we had over 150 students apply for those 60 slots. So we run the lottery using like a random number generator. There's some different criteria where students get some more opportunities to have more tickets in the lottery. So 2 full cohorts means that like we have our current one and that they're current 9th graders. So they'll move into 10th grade next year, remaining in PTAC, and then we'll have another group of 9th graders come. So the 9th graders come to us in their afternoon and they go to their home high school in the morning. And as 10th graders, they'll come here in the morning, go to their home high school in the afternoon. So we'll have like a full day of our 2 full cohorts here beginning next year.
And they leave high school with, what do they leave with, Carrie?
They have between 4 and 6 years, so up to 6 years to complete their schooling. So for the nursing, they can get their licensed practical nurse diploma. And for the IT, it's a 2-year AAS degree in information technology, both through RCTC, and then they have the opportunity to do an internship with Mayo Clinic or IBM while they're in school, and just lots of different supports along the way through mentoring and workplace learning and experiences. Let's see the questions in the chat. PTAC and CTEC is the Career and Technical Education Center at Hines, and it's basically a building that houses our extracurriculars in the district for the high schools. So when students take extracurricular courses that maybe include more hands-on components like welding, or the culinary kitchen is a commercial grade kitchen. All of those are housed out at CTEC so that they can have more probably workplace specific experiences. So for like nursing, they have like an actual, it's like set up like a hospital room over there for the certified nursing assistant students. So PTech is separate in that it's a specific program. It follows an IBM-led national philosophy, and students apply to get in. CTech, the students can take elective courses if they meet the prerequisites, and any student can take those courses.
Thank you, Gary. Any last shout outs? All right, we will be moving on. Nicole, we haven't met in person, and so I'm sure this picture is a little bit of a surprise to you. I have a tendency to do it to the people that, and they're always, I'm like, oh, I hope this is her.
It is. That just surprised me.
I felt pretty confident in my choice. So it's so nice to have Nicole here. She's the injury prevention coordinator from Mayo Clinic, and also part of Leadership Rochester. Nicole, we'd love you have you talk a little bit about both of those things. So thank you for being here, and take it away.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me. I will focus on my primary reason for being here first so that I don't take up too much time, because there may be some questions about resources. So, as Melissa said, I am from the Mayo Clinic Trauma Center, and Mayo Clinic here in Rochester has an adult and a pediatric. Both are level 1 trauma centers. So we're as you probably would expect at Mayo Clinic, top of the top, best of the best. And what that really means is we have everything to provide support for traumatic injury, from anything from prevention, which is what I do, through full rehabilitation, or as close as a person can get after a traumatic event. A little bit of context about what trauma is considered is, we look at, or we have to refine our scope a bit, and so we look at anything that is a blunt or a penetrating injury. And so there are a lot of things that are traumatic, but the trauma center in my role is preventing or reducing the incidence of, or reducing severity of, blunt or penetrating injury. So I've seen a lot of talk about sledding, and have heard and seen some sledding incidents that some are blunt and some are penetrating. And so if somebody is sledding and they fall and they hit their head, or they hit part of their body, that's a blunt injury. They fall and a stick comes through and penetrates their skin, penetrating injury. It could be a lot worse than that, but I'll just leave it at that. So those are the scopes, or that's a high level of what the scope is, and then what our pediatric trauma center covers is anything from birth through the age of 14, and then in the National Trauma Registry, and for us here in Rochester, adult is from age 14 through geriatric. And so that's part of why I reached out to the schools, is because I wanted to let our community know that I am here as a resource to help with injury prevention in our community. And on the pediatric side, we do things like help with helmet, either education or provision. We can do we do a lot of the car seat clinics, if you've seen car seat clinics in town, or helping to make sure that people have their seats checked, or have a seat if they don't have one, or are unable to afford one. Or make sure that they get connected with a resource to acquire one. Working with schools and the younger kids on fall prevention, recreation sport injury prevention, and motor vehicle crash, and reduce the incidence of, or reduce severity of, injuries from crashes. And then on the adult side, all of those same things, plus reducing distracted driving, making sure we have safe wheels, safe vehicles, safe practices, helping with maybe, and it doesn't maybe seem like injury prevention, but like sleep hygiene is actually injury prevention. So the scope can be pretty broad. And so my hope today here is to let you know that I'm here as a resource. If I can't do it, as far as my bandwidth for coming to speak or coming to give resources, my goal or hope would be to point you in the right direction. I did talk with a couple of the lead social workers in the district, and we are working together with Mayo Clinic Public Affairs to get some information out in the school newsletters that go out to families, I understand. So working on some injury prevention information, and both educational messages, very short and sweet, and also resource finding. So if somebody needs to have their car seat checked, or somebody wants to borrow the distracted driving simulator or our car seat convincer for an event, to know that we have a ton of those resources available to both individuals to borrow or organizations to borrow. So for example, Byron Public Schools, their school resource officer borrowed our distracted driving simulator during their homecoming week and had it out at lunchtime, and had about 50 high school students utilize the distracted driving simulator just as a kind of a fun activity. And we've also had driver's ed instructors borrow that. We've had interest from the city working with the police officers using the distracted driving simulator as they're doing different activities. So those are a few of the opportunities we have. On the adult side, we also have a lot of falls prevention initiatives going on in the community, such as evidence-based falls prevention programs, collaborating with local agencies and providers of programs, and making sure that patients and community members are connected with the resources that they want or need as best we can. So I think that's, I mean, I'm open to answering questions if anybody has any questions based on what I've shared. That's a pretty general overview of what I do.
It looks like one question in the chat: is this open only to schools or other organizations such as Head Start?
Head Start is absolutely welcome to work with us, work with me. A lot of things have a lot of activities or resources. Of course, I'm either, if I can't approve it myself, I go through a committee to get approval. But schools, organizations, um, community groups, I mean, it doesn't even have to be an official organization. It can be, I've had questions about like youth groups or life groups at churches that want to bring in distracted driving information. So I can put well, actually, probably the best email address would be traumacenter@mayo.edu. Flyer, yes. So any resources that you want, I should probably, Melissa, would it be best to send them to you to send out to everybody?
Yep,
Okay.
I can forward them to our distribution list.
Sure. Those are also available online. So on the Mayo Clinic Community Engagement, I can't remember exactly what the website is. It's the primary care for Casson and Rochester. If you Google Mayo Clinic Car Seat Clinic, it should come up, but I can also send you a flyer. Car seat, I'm just writing this down.
And if you want to put the link in an email, I can send that sort of thing on to Nicole,
Okay.
if that's easy.
Yep. So car seat flyer, that's easy. That's an easy ask. I did see, I don't know if Joanne Judge Seats is still on here. I'm not trying to call her out, but she coordinated with me. She knew that I had access to helmets, and there were some local schools in need of resources because the helmets over the summer during COVID, they were in storage, they got moldy, and a couple of the schools that share a fleet of bicycles needed helmets for their PE programs, and we were able to provide helmets for them. We also were able to provide helmets for when the Jeremiah program in town opened and had their grand opening. There was the pediatric nursing unit or something along those lines at Mayo was providing bicycles and tricycles for the kids, and they didn't have helmets, and so Mayo Clinic Trauma Center, Pediatric Trauma Center, donated the helmets for the Jeremiah program to be shared. So we don't have safety clinics right now. That's a good question. We don't have any bike helmet safety clinics. We do provide education in the form of written material and work with the community action team, the police department community action team on helmet safety. And we have not done a safety clinic. Doesn't mean we can't in the future.
Nicole,
And then, oh, go ahead, Joy.
I just wanted to add, if you are interested in some bike-related safety clinics, we do that through public health, and there's also a new person at the district, your Safe Routes to School coordinator. If you want to reach out to him, that's Dustin.
Mario.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Either one of us could help set something like that up. And I also put in the chat there, we are doing some Safe Routes to School parent and student surveys to get some feedback about safety around schools with traffic safety, walking and biking to school. If you're able to take that survey or send it out to parents or teachers, parents or students, that would be helpful as it relates to safety around the schools.
Dustin does not have access to bike helmets for students in need.
Melinda, so I'm not sure what organization you represent. If you want to email me at that traumacenter@mayo.edu, if you wanted to send me some information or connect with me, we do have helmets that we can give. I just have to collect information and have an SBAR and present it to my trauma executive committee and get approval for it. So if there are students who are unable to provide or to acquire their own, we likely can provide some.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Lindy is actually a school social worker, so she works in a few of our buildings. So.
Perfect.
Yeah. The other thing I did want to mention too is the bike survey. We did do it in this meeting a month or two ago. So if it looks familiar, that may be part of it. But if you have not had a chance and you want to share it, I'm sure Joanne and Dustin would appreciate the share out as well. And then Nicole, did you also want to touch on Leadership Greater Rochester?
I would love to. It's really exciting. So if you don't know about Leadership Greater Rochester, it's through the Rochester Chamber of Commerce. And our cohort this year began in August and we are graduating in May. And each year the leadership group, so taking approximately 35, 36 leaders in different areas in the community, coming together, and they make us work together as a team to come up with a project in the community that is based on community need, community want, and what our strengths and passions are as a leadership team. And we are moving forward with, it's called the Thrive Outside Winter Activity Trailer. So if you have heard of or seen or used the Building Blocks trailer or the Go Play Explore trailer that is through the Parks and Rec Department, this is it's a similar project. This is a winter trailer, and so we are working on. We've been gathering information. We've done a ton of research. We've looked at what the community has already told us we need. And what we have come up with is this trailer will be accessible to organizations in the community who want to borrow. Parks and Rec will bring it to you, and it will be loaded with equipment like sleds. We don't know exactly what's going to go in it yet. I'm just giving an example. Sleds, maybe snowshoes, maybe some safety gear for playing outside. And the idea is to get people connected and moving outdoors together because we saw the need during COVID, especially. People were missing opportunity to connect with each other during the winter and didn't have a safe space to be. And we learned that being outdoors was the safest place to be at that time, pending weather here in Minnesota. um, and so we wanted to figure out how to align with what Parks and Rec and Olmsted County Public Health data was saying. And by far and away, finding activities for youth and families outside in the winter was what our project ended up being. And so come May/ this summer, you'll probably start to see, if you still are on social media, but also hopefully on regular media, the news, print, and we've got somebody from KTTC actually in our cohort, so hopefully you'll see it on television as well. We are going to be able to allow people to borrow this trailer free of charge. So PE teachers, Boulder Options has already signed up to be a pilot for us. They want to borrow this trailer for their mentors and mentees. We want the trailer to be accessible to places that maybe people don't have the right equipment or don't know much about being outdoors in the winter. We're going to have information translated into multiple languages and education translated so that people have an idea of what you can do outside safely and how to use equipment safely. And hopefully the idea is promoting connection in community and being outdoors and physical activity. So that's a really quick overview of what it is. I wanted to pitch it to this group, though. It came up as people are talking about sledding this very early in the conversation today, and that made me think, oh, this might be a good group to know that this is forthcoming, that this trailer is going to be available through Parks and Rec to borrow. So thanks for letting me share.
No, I think that's wonderful. I think our PE teachers would definitely love to be aware. So if there's a flyer or information when you're ready to share that, I'm happy to share it out.
Sure. Yep. Our our marketing team is working on putting all of that together right now, and working with various teams in the community too. We're at the very early stages. It feels like we've been doing it forever, but we're at the very early stages of this yet. So, I'm probably sharing ahead of my time, but I'm excited about it. And this is exactly like the people that you work with are exactly the people we want to be serving, our families and our students in the community.
I do that too. I share way ahead.
It's exciting! Early adopters.
Yes. So that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Nicole. Do we have any other last or questions for Nicole? All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. You're more than welcome, Nicole, to stay for the whole meeting. It's up to you and listen to more of what we do. But if you have to go, we appreciate the time that you were able to give us today. So thank you.
You. Thanks for having me. And really, if you'd like me to come back at some other event to talk or some other meeting to talk about something specific, please let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we are going to hear a little bit of a budget update from John Carlson. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to listen to this. It is about 10 minutes-ish long, but it's important. The school district is talking about some pretty serious budget cuts coming up, so it's important, I think, that parents are informed. So we'll listen in, I'll mute, and once I hit play, if someone could give me a thumbs up that they can hear it, that would be amazing.
Hello, my name is John Carlson. I'm the Executive Director of Finance at Rochester Public Schools. Today I'm going to walk you through the budget reduction input items that the administration is proposing to the school board. We are presenting these sessions in a recorded format as well as in a live format, January 31st through February 3rd. Our agenda today is first to review the projected deficit for 22-23 school year, Review accounting shifts and other assumptions that. Hello, my name is John. February 8th, the administration will make a final recommendation to the school board on an overall budget strategy, including budget reductions. We expect the school board to make a decision that night. So first, why is there a deficit being projected? This is not a surprise. We have been projecting a deficit for the last 3 years, and that it would fall in the 22-23 school year, where adjustments to our budgeting processes would need to take place. The basic premise of the situation is over the last 12 years, our student numbers have grown about 8% in total, but our staff has grown 30% in total. And this is unsustainable for the long haul. We're also opening new school buildings next fall, which will bring more capacity for future growth, but that does require some additional operating expenses now that make things less efficient for a few years until the buildings are operating more full. We have been in a tight labor market, and as a result of that, we've had over 100 positions open for the last few years, and this has been masking the budget deficit that is starting to grow. We've been underspending the budget because of the unfilled positions, but structurally there is a deficit that needs to be addressed. On top of that, we have had federal COVID funding for the last couple of years, and we expect that money to eventually run out at the end of the 23-24 school year. That's also been used to pay for things that the general fund cannot pay for right now. So first off, one of our solutions is to do anything we can that is not going to affect our students or our employees, and we call these accounting shifts. We also are looking at canceling 3 leases and not paying rent at those facilities now that we will have more of our owned space next fall. And then we're also going to adjust some of our budgeting assumptions that do not impact current employees and should not cause a reduction in opportunities for students. Expanding on the accounting shifts just a little further, first we have federal COVID funds. We need to seek approval to use these funds through the Minnesota Department of Education, and we're expecting to use $9.3 million in the next school year to offset part of the deficit. We also plan to use part of our savings account. It's projected that we will need to use $4.3 million of our savings account to fully pay for the things in our budget in this upcoming year. Just a note that even if we do spend $4.3 million of our budget, there would still be 9% of the district's annual operating budget in savings after we do that. We plan to delay a transfer into a retirement savings account for our retirees. I just want to note, though, that this will not affect our current retirees or our future retirees. The account is funded sufficiently that the retirees will still get the agreed upon benefits that they are expecting. Similarly, we're also going to delay another transfer to a different type of retirement savings account. And again, this will not affect our current retirees or upcoming retirees. They will still qualify and receive the benefits. We'll just delay saving into this retirement account temporarily. The 3 leases we're considering canceling are the Gage East lease for girls gymnastics. We're going to move that program to Friedel. The Boys and Girls Club lease for the middle school Right Fit program, we are eliminating that lease and moving that program to Friedel. And we're going to cancel a lease at 415 South Broadway, where we currently house the Incubator EDU program. This will impact a program, and it will be an elimination of the program. However, it has very low student involvement right now, and there will be other electives and opportunities for those students to take classes next year. 3 more changes in our assumptions is we are going to transfer some money from our work comp fund. We will put that back into the general fund. We have sufficient funds available to pay future work comp claims, so we'll take some of this money back to the general fund. In our budgeting methodology, we're going to plan for 10 contingency teachers next year instead of 15. If enrollment increases beyond what we are planning and we need more than 10 extra teachers next year, we will come back to the school board to request more teachers. But that would also come with an expectation that there will be more revenue because our number of students is higher than what we thought it would be. And unfortunately, again, because of the labor market, we're assuming that 34 of our positions will be vacant at any given time next year. So we're just going to make a small reduction in our budgeting and assume that even though we want to fill these positions, there's a strong possibility that we'll be unable to fill every position every time a position becomes open, and there'll be some delay, which will save some money as well. So next comes the proposed budget reduction options that the administration is putting forward to the school board. Generally, we've sorted this list in an order that has the least impact on students and current staff. More information on these reductions and the impacts that will have on our operations and our education can be found in the detailed memo that we're posting separately on our website. Now I'll just go through the options one by one. First, we plan to reduce a central office contracted services and supply budget. We will reduce school building contracted services and supply budgets. We'll eliminate an unfilled central office clerical position. We will reduce unfilled positions in construction services and our COVID-19 response departments. We will reduce building administrators based on enrollment or enrollment shifts that happen over the summer. We will reduce unfilled teaching positions in special education. We'll eliminate the incubator EDU program as mentioned before due to the low demand, the difficulty staffing, and the extra leased facility costs that we are incurring. We will reduce instructional coach positions. We will reduce unfilled special education para positions. We will not budget growth in future special education teaching and para positions, meaning we will try to operate with the same staff that we have today. We will reduce special education tuition contracts at a community nursery school. We will reduce central office curriculum support positions. We'll reduce clerical positions from 7 to 6 at our high schools. We will reduce and reorganize central office curriculum administrator positions. We will reduce and reorganize central office student services supporting positions. We plan to reduce and reorganize student services administrator positions. We will reduce central office supporting positions. We will reduce clerical positions from 3 to 2 at each of our middle schools. We'll eliminate the inside out annual payment. And we'll make a change to the elementary school general education paraprofessional staffing formula. There are 2 additional options that we are putting forward to the school board. We are not recommending these, but if any of the items on the previous mentioned list were to come off or be adjusted, these would be the next items that we would look at backfilling to get to the $7 million of reductions. We would first tighten the formula for how we staff our high school teachers. And then secondly, we would tighten the formula for how we staff our elementary school teachers. And then we're putting forward a list of ideas that we have been working on over the last several weeks. These, again, are not recommended at all for the 22-23 school year. These will require more conversations, more study for the 23-24 school year budget. And we're putting these in alphabetical order. There is absolutely no preference by the order of these. We're just listing them as ideas that we will be studying and may need to come back as budget reduction options for next school year. So first, we would look at changing set points for our heating and cooling systems to save energy costs. We'll look at closing a small elementary school and consolidating it with another school. We'll eliminate some athletic sports. We'll further reduce or eliminate instructional coaching. We'll look to reduce more administrative positions. We would look at reducing elementary reading teachers, reducing health office nurses, reducing our cleaning staff, reducing or eliminating transportation for our district-wide option schools. We would look at out-of-classroom student supports like social workers, school counselors, student resiliency specialists, security paraprofessionals, and equity specialists. We would look at reducing some high school electives or classes. We would look at reducing the number of electronic devices and the corresponding software licenses. And then finally, we'll look at tightening the formula for middle school teachers. Again, all of the options in this fourth group are needing more discussion, more work before they would come forward as future budget reduction options. They're absolutely not being recommended for the 22-23 school year. At this time, we encourage anyone who's watching the video to go to rochesterschools.org/budget and fill out the survey that we've posted there. It's a 4-question survey. We would like to hear public input on the strengths you note from the plan, any weaknesses you see in the proposed plan. Provide us with any suggestions for improvement to the plan, and then ask any questions that you have. And if you'd like a follow-up, make sure that you contact either the superintendent or myself. Our email addresses are posted there and can be found publicly as well. So at this time, I will conclude this video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
So that was John's video. I don't know that I'm going to be able to answer a lot of questions on the budget, but I do feel that it's important that families and staff know what are being considered in some of the cuts, so that you feel that you have a voice in the decision-making process. Julie, you mentioned, would incubators see higher enrollment if it were located on site? I'm not sure. I think that's a great question. And I can certainly bring it forward to John, or at least include it in comments if you choose to want to forward those comments to John. Additionally, I've put in the chat a resource that is a PDF or a Word document that talks more in depth about the budget cuts that they are considering. So it gives everyone an opportunity to, at least, if you have concerns, reach out to your school board members, reach out to the superintendent, reach out to John. Feel free to share them with me, and I can forward any comments to John. That sort of thing. So there is going to be a conversation tonight at the school board, I know, about budget cuts, and I imagine it will continue to be presented at the school board for the next few months. So just an awareness there. Any other questions about what was presented? Okay, the next thing that I wanted to mention to all of you as well is that the agency that was hired to do the superintendent search is offering a listening session, and it's actually tonight at 6 p.m. This might be another meeting that you want to sit in on, or at least listen to if you get the chance. They are accepting only the first 95 participants. I'm going to put this link in the chat as well, so you can copy and paste the information so that you have it for tonight if you do want to participate. I'll be listening. There is some overlap with this meeting and with the superintendent or the school board meeting, so you might have to pick and choose where you listen in, but I would encourage you, if you have strong feelings or strong interest in that, to take some time to listen into the superintendent search. Additionally, there is a survey online, and we could take that survey. I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. So I'll drop the chat, or drop it in. I can find it. Here it is. It's a pretty short survey, and the list of suggestions is being compiled for the school board. So please take some time. We can even take a couple minutes right now if you'd like to do that survey. I'll just put myself on mute, and we'll give you guys 3 minutes, so till 10:52, to do the link in the chat. Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to complete the superintendent search survey. If feel free to forward any of the information that is on this meeting. I will ask Jen to send out the PowerPoint and the links as soon as possible when we're finished, so you'll have access to the PDF links and the rest of the information to share. Oh, and Chair Marvin said the board meeting will be recorded and can be viewed afterwards as well. So you'll have a chance to hear what the school board settled on or discussed as well. Next, I wanted to mention the upcoming COVID vaccination clinics. So there are 3 vaccination clinics that are being hosted at RPS. They're being hosted at 3 separate elementary schools, but you do not have to have a student at these schools to participate in the vaccination clinics. Tonight, a triple booked thing. Sunset Terrace will be hosting a clinic from 4:30 to 6. So you can go to Sunset Terrace, get your shot or booster, go to the school board meeting, and then step out of the school board meeting and listen to the superintendent search conversation. Wild Tuesday night.
Sunset has a
Lucy,
PTA meeting as well.
say it again.
Sunset has a PTA meeting as well.
Oh, so stay for the PTA meeting. Go get your booster and stay for the PTA meeting. Thank you, Lucy. And then February 10th at Franklin and February 19th at Riverside from 10 to 12:30. I know at the Riverside event as well, I'm not sure if anyone is on who is helping with that, but there are some financial incentives for getting first, second, or booster for getting those shots at the Riverside event. So, and I think it's like something like $50. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity if you haven't gotten your booster yet and you need it. Just a reminder of how RPS is currently handling positive cases. We're still having students isolate or staff isolate for 10 days. I know that their CDC is reducing some of their quarantine time. RPS is staying with the 10-day isolation period currently until further guidance from the CDC and the Minnesota Department of Health. So that is where we are right now as a district. If you have any questions, again, those would be good to send to me and I can get some information from our COVID leads. Next, I did want to talk about a couple updates and information and resources. One exciting thing that you guys had asked for last year that I'm finally figuring out a creative way to do it is a shared calendar where all the district family engagement events, links, anything that people tell me about will be on a Google shared calendar. And this will be linked on the Rochester Public Schools Family Engagement page. So I was hoping the link would be live today, but it's not. I will send it out as soon as it is live. I don't have the ability to change our RPS website, and that's probably a good thing because I would mess it up. So there will be a calendar that you guys will have access to that if you're feeling like, hey, I thought I heard there was this event, but I'm not remembering. As much as possible, I will keep this live calendar up to date. It'll have the links for these meetings, the links for our vaccination clinics, the links for evening Q&A events that I'm hosting. So if you would like me to share something for your school, I'm happy to put it on this calendar as well. You just need to keep me informed about links, locations, times, that sort of thing. So Lucy, if you want to send me the PTA meeting, I'm happy to add it so it'll be on the calendar as well. another kind of exciting change that hopefully will get us into the 21st century in District Planning Agent. Spring sports registration is happening beginning February 21st through March 4th. I would ask all of you not only to think about this from your lens as a parent or family member, but also from the lens of your students. I find that non-native speakers of English often miss the registration deadline, so we want to make sure we're sharing this out with a lot of families. Additionally, one thing that is not on the sports registration is that if a student is on free or reduced price lunch, they would qualify for a scholarship. So please, please, please encourage students who maybe don't apply to the registration of spring sports or winter sports or fall sports because they don't have the ability to pay, that if you're on free lunch, sports are often at no cost. So share that information far and wide. The registration is coming up. Students will need a physical. There are ways to help students get the sports physicals as well if they're having trouble getting access to those. So please share that information if you are able. Next, what I have been noticing is that a lot of families are in pretty desperate need for benefit support. Minbenefits.gov. Yes, for this, I do have this information as well, and I'll get it to you after the meeting, Jillian. So in terms of the Min benefits site, this is for things like food assistance, cash programs, emergency assistance, childcare assistance. I bring this up in this meeting because even though we're sort of figuring out how we're going to live with COVID, there are lots and lots of families who are still in pretty big need of support. Rent Help MN is no longer taking applications, so some of those COVID supports that were put into place are now falling away. Min Benefits is the best place for families to start. Additionally, in terms of childcare, I just wanted to mention that Salvation Army does have a grant to help with some childcare assistance. So if you have a family that's maybe experiencing homelessness or in an unstable living situation, Salvation Army is also offering some childcare supports as well. I think that's all I have on that piece. Let me know if you have questions with that. Other informational items, RPS Online is still taking applications. So if you have a student who's struggling with the in-person and they did well with online, there's opportunity for that to continue. This is National School Counseling Week. So thank you for our counselors. Never before have we seen the value of our counselors and our school social workers. I know those are two very different roles, but they deserve massive shout outs for the huge amount of work that they've been doing through the course of the pandemic and guiding our students through some really difficult mental health, social, emotional, even family financial health. So thank you, thank you, thank you all for your hard work. Yes, Lindy, I will pass along the MM benefits flyer after the meeting as well. Kindergarten, I mentioned this last time, but I'll just say it again. If you know some upcoming kindergartners, it's time to get enrolled into kindergarten, do those screenings. Mental health supports, we're continuing to do the free 45-minute virtual appointments. We're still seeing lots of mental health needs and challenges with students, and so please, if you're worried about a student or if you're worried about one of your own students, feel free to visit the Rochester schedule and get a free virtual appointment with a mental health professional in order to help provide the needs that maybe your student is needing or a student who you work with is needing. Lastly, I just want to mention again what family engagement is. We're going to continue to work on small, impactful events. And this is one of our big events that we have. And we're planning a few upcoming in-person opportunities that will be on the calendar. So I'm hoping eventually these meetings may continue to be virtual just because it's convenient for a lot of our staff, but hopefully we'll be able to have some more in-person events in the next couple months so that we can see faces as well. Lastly, in the chat, maybe one thing you learned today, and thank you guys for being here. I'll hang on for a while so that if there are questions, you can ask any questions that we might not have covered during the meeting.